Women Aligned for Growth WAG Monthly Rendezvous has become a phenomenon as members look forward to it each month. The August WAG Rendezvous was no exception as members boogie down to the bits. Members born in the month of August were celebrated as new members who graced the occasion introduced themselves.
So I want to welcome everyone that is here, especially our newbies in the house. I'll start with Sharon Akata. Please let's appreciate her. Sharon Akata is a wonderful chef, good food, called Sharon Akata. Yes, so for your events, she will make your guests smile. Back online, you're welcome, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we have another new member, Uju Ofondo. Please let's give it up for her. Uju Ofondo, you tell us a bit what you do and all of that, okay? Fantastic. She bakes cakes. Wow, she made this one? Yes. Oh, wow, fantastic. So she bakes cakes and we're going to enjoy her cake today.
The executive chair in the person of Dr. Ife Nwakwasi was not left out of the fun. Despite the fact that she was unavoidably absent, she joined online as well as other members, including the guest speaker.
I'm so excited to be here with you because right now I feel your energy right in Enugu. Like everybody is aware, I have been in Enugu for the past 1 week trying to attend to my 97-year-old mom. My mom had a bit of some frightening experience for us, and God sent me at the right time, and right now she's doing much better. So from Enugu, with a lot of love, energy, and passion. Dear WAG sisters, I'm delighted to welcome in the house Joanne, and unfortunately, I didn't even save her biodata, but Ramatu, I hope you have the biodata. She's going to give us a talk on improving our sex life. Ladies, I intentionally chose this topic because many of us are going through all kinds of life challenges. We know what's happening to our men. Our men are going through a lot of stresses in their life. And their erectile power and media would testify to that. But of course, it depends on whether we want to be masquerading or whether we want to keep it real. So, Joanne, we are delighted to have you in our midst. Ladies, God said that when 2 or 3 are gathered together, the energy and the enthusiasm of a few. I'm sure our patron, Hajia Lamidi Makabu, was with us earlier on, had told us about the, what did he call the principle? I can't even remember the principles. Something like that. Normally, in every organization, is a few people, maybe 20%, 80%. It's usually about 20% that drive the initiative. And I'd like to, on this occasion, congratulate 2 people that are here with us, Elvira Celeros. Please give it up to her.
Mrs. Johanna Adeyilika, guest speaker of the August WAG Rendezvous, took on an interesting topic tagged Improving Your Sex Life.
So we're looking at improving sex life. You know, I believe most of you are from age 45 and upwards. And by my counseling experience, I've learned that many women are suffering in this area. Reason being, when we are young and we are new in marriage, sex seems to be a wonderful experience for us all. As we start having children and time is going, the best years seem to be the years when husband and wife are not having a great deal of fun. But as soon as a woman hits menopause, many women do begin to have a need for that sex, not just ordinary sex, but exciting sex. And unfortunately, that is the time when the men now are slowing down. They are not as active as they were before. They say that women's sex life between age of 45 to 65 can be an uphill, need, meaning that a lot of women in this age bracket actually want more sex than they did when they were bearing children. Now, I am not a supporter of extramarital affairs, but through my counseling years, I realized that I cannot be judgmental on those who have had affairs because they have not been satisfied at home. Now, because of our culture, many times women are supposed to accept when a man is not there for you. But it doesn't have to be so. They say that normally if you loved sex when you were younger, you will go on to enjoying sex to an older age. But we have to understand that there's disparity between the appetites of sex. Now, when I do premarital classes, I do find out what's your sex appetite like? What would you like? Some women would like sex 5 times a week. Some men would manage twice a week. If you have a disparity right from the onset, then it's likely to be a problem as you are getting older. But when women have got all the children out of the way, they are just free, nobody's staying with them anymore, they want that excitement. But unfortunately, that is usually the time when our men start to experience erectile dysfunction. They have disinterest in going that extra mile. They don't want to do the things that women are wanting them to do. And that's what drives a lot of women outside. But it doesn't have to be so. One of the things you need to say to yourself is, what makes you happy? What actually makes you happy? Some people go out and have better interests outside. Some start to have more interest with their girlfriends. They go on holiday, they go to parties, they begin to have fun. And might I say, I am a minister of God as well, and I see things from both angles. But when I'm speaking like this, I want women to understand that it is not wrong for women who have a high sexual appetite to actually have sex toys that they can use. Now, in the church system, they will tell you masturbation is a sin. But I'm telling you, many women have survived, using sex toys instead of going out to perform with another man. So whatever you can do to satisfy yourself, honestly, I believe it is better than going out and sleeping with another man. Also, menopause, from the side of a woman, many times women experience dryness, they experience disinterest in sex. They also have the experience of body pain. They can't do what they really want to do up here. The body doesn't allow it. So therefore, menopause has caused women a lot of issues, because of hormonal changes and so on and so forth. But I would say, with my experience with counseling, a lot of women are still interested in sex, but unfortunately their husbands can't give it to them the way they want it. So for me, personally, I started to find what interests me outside of the home. I became closer to my girlfriends, started to do things that I want to do. Right now, I have an addition to the family, so that takes my interest out. But I also don't want women to feel guilty who don't have any interest in sex at a certain age. I'd like to add as well that it's very difficult to get a man interested in sex once he has lost the battle, he's lost the fight to try and satisfy his spouse. It's very, very difficult. And I've heard women say that their husbands have said, come on, we've been married for 20-something years, what more do you want? But if a lot of women are like me, when I got to menopausal age, that's when I wanted my husband more. it was very difficult for him simply because you have men with diabetes, you have heart disease, high cholesterol, all of these things, overweight, all of these things prevent men from being able to be free with their do this. So if you can satisfy by using, using sex toys to see you through, whatever you need to do to make you happy, get new interests. Those are the things that you can do to satisfy or improve yourself. Because I don't believe you should get to a certain stage in life or just give up on, this wonderful thing we call sex. I think that's what all I want to discuss now, because it's not a 10-minute issue. There are different areas of this tough topic that we would discuss in more depth. And I think oftentimes you need to look at it as individuals, you and your spouse. What has happened over the years? Has there been problems between you and your husband? Has there been infidelity that you know about? Have children caused you to separate yourselves physically? So many issues.
Questions poured in during the interactive session as she gave satisfactory answers to each.
What is the woman's role in actually making sure that the home is cordial enough and is loving enough to get her husband to do it? Again, what could a woman that is actually having a husband that cannot perform? The husband's directive power is low, like we said earlier on, because of a lot of chronic illnesses that a lot of our men are suffering from, and many of them are on prescriptive drugs, and we know what prescriptive drugs can do for them. What would you advise a woman to do, focus on, so that this lack of sex does not become a big challenge in the marriage?
I think first of all, what you need to do is ensure that there is peace in the home. Many times from a lack of sex, other issues begin to arise. That's where you have financial problems. You have also, if you're not cooking the right food, for me, your food is not sweet, this, that, and the other. So I think it's very, very important that you keep peace within the home. You try and keep it as happy as possible. Remember also, one of the problems of infidelity, as far as women and men are concerned, is the fact that infidelity is so open in Nigeria. Is that your only problem? Your husband is sleeping with another woman. But it's a huge problem for a lot of women who have had to live with it day in, day out. So what does a woman have to do? And I make this say as well that the onus of a happy sex life should not only be on the woman alone. This is a joint venture. It's very important that both husband and wife get involved in this together. No matter what a woman is doing to keep her home peaceful, being a good communicating home, if the husband is not there with her, what is she to do? A lot of women have been pushed over, left alone simply because the man is not ready for that. So, from a woman's perspective, I would say keep the home peaceful.
So, 30-year-old lady gets married to a man and finds out that he can't perform. Meanwhile, she has been diagnosed as an nymphomaniac, and she tells me that's what she is. So how do we reconcile that?
Oh my God, what happened?
You said a woman got married to a man who cannot perform, and she has been marked as nymphomaniac. Well, like I said, premarital counseling that I do, I try and discover what the sex life of each individual is. There's always a disparity with husband and wife when they get married. A woman is not an nymphomaniac. She just enjoys sex, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. And it's very, very frustrating, particularly in our society, simply because they will hail a man who loves sex, but they will mark and tarnish a woman who does. But in a marriage, you know, many women who used to enjoy sex have had to put a stop to their appetite, and simply because the husband will look at her and say, what type of animal are you? So you must have been doing all this before we met, and so on and so forth. So what does she do? Like I said initially, sometimes there's a DIY you have to look into if you really want to do, you know, if you really want to be satisfied. And I know that a lot of Christian men will say, no, if he's not doing it, you stay without. Well, it's very harmful. It's been proved medically that if a woman who wants it, who doesn't have it, could end up with heart problems. Likewise, the man who doesn't get it can end up with prostate problems. So there are some health issues there that we need to eliminate by possibly satisfying oneself.
What can we do? A woman do in where his husband has raped some? I don't know whether maybe he cannot do without having. And when the wife says no, please, I'm tired or something, he has to. He does. I don't know whether you call that sex violence. I don't know, or rape, because this is the husband. But the man does not feel. He feels he owns the body, that he can take it anytime he wants.
It's very important that you have a very good relationship, a cordial relationship with your children right from the onset, so that you can find out exactly what is happening in their lives. Because many adults, and I'm sure some of you are online or who are watching me now, you had an experience when you were young that you couldn't even tell anybody about. And it's very, very crucial for your life and the next generation's life that you bring it out in the open. I know it's difficult because sometimes you need to speak to a friend, but you don't know whether that friend is going to tell everybody about what you've told them. I read something the other day that said you can tell somebody you trust something very private about yourself, but you don't know whether that person you trust somebody that you don't trust and exposes what has happened to you. So that's why I always advise people, if you don't have a trusted person, please speak to a professional who can help you and see you through. Going back to what you said, communication is a key in every relationship. So you need to be speaking to your children closely. Let them tell you things you dread. Like, ask your children, are you a virgin? As a teenager, explain why. Explain why. I wonder how many of us looking here were virgins when we got married. Some of us were, some of us were not. But you cannot just keep quiet. Communication is a huge key.
What advice will you give to a woman that the husband has been sick for 5 years and they've not been sleeping together? But that same husband can travel to France, America. When it comes to having sex, he will now say, I have pains. Does it mean that for 5 years has not been sleeping with anybody? What advice would you give to such a woman?
It's a problem that, because African women, we don't shout out enough. And even if you tell your girlfriends that this is what's happened, that's how they do. You just have to do it. No, it's very painful. It's painful for a woman who is still sexually active to go without it for so long. Now, like I said to you initially, I get women who come to me and say, well, I couldn't cope with it. I went out and I slept with another man. But is that really the answer? Is that really the answer? Because I know for me personally, I have been married for almost 40 years and I have not performed infidelity since I've been married. Now, has sex always been fantastic? No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But I get myself involved in other things. Sometimes I feel I want it, and I'm sure many of you are the same. But I think you have a choice at the end of the day. You have a choice, and that choice is yours, and it's between you and God. That's how I can put it in a nutshell. It's between you and God.
Now, with regards to what she said about a man, living with someone for 5 years and not having any sexual intercourse. Earlier in your talk, you advised that it's better to use sexual toys than going out. So in that situation, what do you advise for that person? Do you advise, maybe meeting a sex therapist and advising them what to do to keep sanity?
In most cases, it isn't that women want sex twice a week, especially at this stage of our lives. It's not like that. I think most of what women of this age want is to feel intimate and needed, wanted. You understand? Sex is something that maybe some women wouldn't mind having once a week, even once in 2 weeks. But the fact that there's no sex at all, when there's no sex, 9 times out of 10, there's no intimacy. So they tend to live a life unloved. There's nothing there. Gradually, day by day, month by month, if there's no intimacy, the marriage begins to die. And the only reason why women stay together is, well, what am I to do? Where am I to go? Is it because somebody's not sleeping with me, I'll now leave my marriage? Well, some women do. I've known women who have left their marriage, even in their 60s, because it's gone on for so long and they've had enough. But the most important thing is that at this stage of your life, do what you want to do. You see, I can advise you from now till tomorrow. However, if I advise you, when you get to 70 and you look back at your life and you say to yourself, well, I wasted X number of years of my life. It is with you, it's your pain, it's not my pain. So it's very important at this stage of your life, you know what you want. You know what you want. You're only looking for somebody else to approve what you already know what you want. So it's just do it. If the choice is what you want, do it. I'm not going to advise you any other, because at the end of the day,
there's this case of a woman whose husband asked for oral sex, and she reported to the church, that see what the husband is asking, and the church stood against it, and right now, because I'm into church counseling, there's this case I'm dealing with, and the husband wants it, and the wife is saying it's sin, she's a deaconess, and that it is the church is against it and all of that. So now, and he's wondering, is it the church deciding in his marriage, and and this is what he wants, and the wife is against it. Well, we find out sometimes some men want it, so women want it, some men don't even want it at all. So in that situation, because the Bible says your body belongs to, the man and all of that, and at the same time, the church is looking at it as inordinate affection, that oral sex. So what do you think? What's your take on that?
When I'm doing my premarital teachings, there are 2 things I advise young couples not to do. One of them is to live their lives together enjoying pornography. At the end of the day, you will discover your spouse making love to the person in their head that they are looking at and not you. The second thing I say is a total no-no is anal sex, which is not, it's biblical, but one would know. As far as oral sex is concerned, that is purely a choice between husband and wife. Now, there are some husbands who say, I am not doing that. And there are some wives who say, I'm not doing that. And there are many wives that is the only way that they will really enjoy sex. It's the way that you can get them really engrossed engrossed in that act, ready. As far as the church is concerned, I really, and I can say this, I really wish I was a fly on the wall in many pastors' bedrooms, because it's very easy to say don't. But what is the sin in that? If anything should be questioned, it should be the health aspect, not that it is filthy or it's not what God wants. What did God say about it? He didn't say anything about it. It's not in the Bible as something that husbands and wives should not do.
The speaker, Mrs. Adeyilika, is the MD of Recognition Plus Limited and founder executive chair of a social media platform tagged Let's Face It with Joe, as she discusses controversial relationship issues. She is also a family systems engineer.
I have met women that have been begging their husbands refuse. There was one man who is a godly man who the wife was pushing that she wanted oral sex. He said he was not going to give it to her, but yet he was giving it to the girls outside because he didn't want his wife to know that he was doing that. So his wife actually went to Lekki and did a course, and I wasn't aware of that, did a course on how to give a man a blowjob, which she did. And she came back to her husband and gave him this blowjob. They said the man was screaming the whole place down. And after that, he now realized that it wasn't as dirty to do with the wife. If you could do it outside, why not water your own garden? Stop watering other people's gardens. So now they are okay, they are fine. But the mental understanding that most men have is that it's filthy, but they do it outside. So it's a way of communicating, trying to get them round to it. But there are a lot of reasons why a lot of men do not like to give their wives oral sex. Number one, some women are not very clean. And if a woman is not clean, going down there is not going to be a very interesting experience for any man. So there's a part to play, but it is not dirty. I teach it as part of my premarital class. Some of them come back to me and really enjoy it, and so on and so forth. Some still live by the religious advice and don't do it, and I believe they're missing out on something. It's a choice. It's a choice.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I mean,
we
mustn't forget that. You need to listen to the tape. There's a health issue regarding oral sex, and it's one must look at that as well. So I'm the wall like that. I'm not sitting on the fence. That it is a choice. It is not something that religion says should not happen at all.
I need to understand that some men's sexual appetite expires after a while. Wouldn't it make sense then for young girls to marry, for girls or ladies to marry younger men? As is being done in Denmark, a lot of the couples in Denmark now, the women are older than the men. It is that way the shelf life will match that of the woman.
In Europe and many developed countries, it's not a problem for women to have relationship or to contemplate marrying someone much younger. And even in Nigeria, I am aware that cougar, which is where the older woman is having an affair with a younger man, has become more popular. Because if you know that your spouse, who is 55, 60, 65, cannot perform, it's very unlikely that you would then go for another 55, 65-year-old man to satisfy one's needs. So what is happening is women are having affairs with men up to 15, 20 years younger than them. And it's unfortunate, but that's the, you know, I don't know about majority of the women. The women I'm looking at here, they look so young and vibrant and everything. And when you look at your husbands, you see that they've gone years ahead. I mean, some of you will have married men older than you in the first place. I'm fortunate my husband is just 1 day younger than me. But still, it doesn't matter. Once he's got to a certain age, he's at that age and things happen. So there is nothing wrong. We put too much sentiment into everything. But the person who's 35 comes along to you at home with this woman who is 55. Would you be willing to say, yes, my daughter, I accept you? Would you be able to do that?
WAG queens, as usual, had enough to eat and drink as they all had fun dancing to the beat. The executive chair and founder of WAG, Dr. Ife, a medical practitioner and an integrative lifestyle specialist, believes that the rendezvous will help create a balance in the lives of members who are busy with work and family schedules, creating a window to ease off and relax. WAG is a character-rebuilding female NGO teaching women the integrative lifestyle for change and to make impact. To join us, you can call or WhatsApp. WAG love, passion, and impact. I change, you change, we change, and society changes. WAG.
WAG love, WAG passion, WAG impact. I change.